Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
The earth is in the process of transformation. A separation, such as when a cell divides. Half will remain in the third dimension, the old earth, where there is conflict and violence. The other half will ascend to the fifth dimension, the new earth, where no negativity can exist. All across the world, there are internet content creators that are sharing new information to raise your consciousness and prepare you to ascend to the new earth. Join me, Naima Latif, every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Time, and we will introduce to you these voices of enlightenment. Grand Rising, and thank you for joining us on today's edition of Voices of Enlightenment. We're going to bring you a message from someone that many quote, but few really understood. And as a result of their misunderstanding, they have not been able to solve the problems in their lives and in the world. But this was a master teacher, the one we know as Jesus, Yeshua, for those who remember his correct historic name. But the one we know as Jesus had a mission when he came, and it's not the mission that the church has taught. It was instead a mission of enlightening the mind to take control of your life and not be manipulated by those who taught fear-based religious beliefs, a fear of hell and damnation, an idea of guilt born in sin. I'm challenging a lot of belief systems today because unless you let go of the idea that you are already condemned at birth, you will not evolve out of the low vibration that keeps you miscreating your life. It's a challenge because our religious belief systems are indoctrinated, and they are indoctrinated belief systems that keep us responding to fear of punishment, fear of a punishing God. Well, today we're going to share two presentations. One is a channel message from trance channel Tina Louise Spalding, who channels, among a few who are outside our realm. She channels one who has been in our realm and who has affected life on earth, perhaps more than any other being, or certainly one of the many who have brought enlightenment. She channels the one we know as Jesus, giving him access to a physical structure that will allow him to continue teaching. And so today, we're sharing a channeled message about how to cope in these changing times and why these changing times are manifesting. And then we're going to share a near-death experience. An Indigenous woman, a Native woman who went through some horrific times, made a lot of mistakes in life, and when she crossed over, she was met with not only love, but a guide from her own ancestry. And she also learned there is no hell. This very intense learning experience is for a purpose. So, first, let us bring you this channeled message from the one we know as Jesus that will help you handle the world today. And of course, Tina Louise Spalding explains to us that this is, in fact, coming from the one we know as Jesus through her, and she takes a few breaths, goes into trance, and then brings through a message. And these are direct words, more direct than the ones you read in the scriptures that have been altered a little bit by the same political forces that sought to suppress this very empowering message.
Let's see what Jesus has to say to us today. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one that you know as Jesus. Your journey here is intensifying. And we have been giving you this message for over a decade. It is called the Galactic Speed Up. And it is something that is affecting the planet, the solar system, and all beings that live in and on the planet and the solar system. So this is not something to do with you being American or English or Indian or Australian. This is a complete acceleration of everything and everyone. When you think of acceleration, you think of your car. You are going faster, and that is exactly what an acceleration is. In this particular case, what is accelerating is your frequency. So, for example, seeing very, very hot temperatures in areas that were mostly temperate is a demonstration of this. And so we want you to understand that there are going to be times on your planet when things get a little uncomfortable for those beings that were in what were considered moderately temperatured places. They are going to be getting hotter. This has got nothing to do with the car you're driving. This has got nothing to do with the kind of fuel you use. It is a much bigger issue than that. Your sun is penetrating the protective layers of your planet more and more, and so things are heating up, not only in terms of temperature, but in terms of frequency. And by that we mean when you are holding a lower frequency, you can engage with other lower frequency people, places, things, and experiences. So if you are depressed, you will find it okay to hang out with someone who is, let's say, chronically ill and having a hard time. You will be a matching frequency. If you are depressed, you will not be able to hang out with someone who is going out for their daily 5K run and feeling happy and productive and healthy. You are not going to be a match for them. You may be able to override it a little bit, but you will not enjoy the company of somebody who is significantly out of frequency match with you. There is no spiritual judgment in this statement. We are merely stating a scientific fact. That if you are not a match for someone, you don't enjoy their company. It goes both ways. The lower frequency person will find the higher frequency person annoying, and the higher frequency person will find the lower frequency person annoying. And what we will say to you here is that as you raise in frequency, which you have no choice about at this time in this galactic speed up, you are all raising in frequency, no matter where you started from. And what this means is that the lower frequency aspects of your personality are not going to be allowed to remain within your consciousness if they are too low for the frequency that you are being raised up into. And what this creates is a situation where you are faced with your shadows. You are faced with your jealousy or your negativity or your addiction or your short temper. These things are going to come up because they can no longer reside within the higher frequency structure that you are now exhibiting because of the raising of the frequency of the planet and consequently of you. You are affected by the sun, the stars, the earth, all of these things. You've been told that you are completely immune to things like astrology or the sun or bursts of radioactive emissions from the sun, but that is not true. You are all affected by them because you are electrical beings. And so when we talk about ascension madness, which is what we're going to talk about here, you may find that people around you are losing the plot a little bit. And what we mean by losing the plot a little bit is that they are going a little bit crazy. They are not being able to keep going or doing what they have been coping with. Most of you, we will speak here to modern Western society, but this is a global phenomenon, but we are speaking mostly to modern Westerners through this particular channel. A lot of you in the modern West are having to work very hard to cope with life. Prices are going up, governments are acting a little weird, you are worried about your homes, you're worried about what jobs are going to be created or destroyed in the next few years. Things are getting a little stressful out there for all of you, and this is part of this galactic speed up. And not only are you seeing it outside, but you are feeling it inside. The things you used to be able to cope with are now becoming a bit overwhelming. There may be times when you have just gone to bed for a nap because you do not want to be in this world anymore with all of the pressures that are coming your way. And we understand this. We have lived on your world and we understand the pressures of the ego's playground. It is an intense place indeed. Many spirits cannot hack it on earth. And those you will see as miscarriages, babies that are souls that are going to come in as babies, and they start to get the feeling of the frequency of this place. And they go home, they bail, and they say, I cannot go down into such restriction. It is too much for me. And that will manifest as a miscarriage or a stillborn child. And this carries on throughout the human existence. Some teenagers cannot make it through. They could make it through childhood when they were supported and fed. But once they start seeing at 13, 14, 15, 16 years of age, the future that is coming their way, they know that they will not be able to manage it. And so they decide to leave the planet in what you call suicide and go home. You see, you have a memory in your soul of home. You have a knowing in your soul of what love feels like when you are held in the arms of the divine, and it is not this place. But what is happening here on your planet at this time is a great reconciliation. It is the same as your final exams in grade 12, or your final A levels if you are in England, or pre-university exams. You are going to be tested to see if you can manage the next level of education. And in this particular end of a spiritual season, you are going to be tested to see if you can manage the next level of consciousness. And this is what is happening. It is the end of a great cycle, a 12,500 year cycle, and you are being tested. What are you being tested about? You are being tested about your frequency and how far away or how close to love your frequency is. Now, you know what love is in your modern world. You think it is falling in love with somebody or loving your child or your pet, but love really is a state of mind. When you have a loving mind, you are not judging all the time. Regardless of whether you approve or disapprove of someone's behavior, you understand that you cannot judge it, for you do not know what they came here to learn. You do not know what suffering they are going through internally. You do not know the circumstances of their birth or their upbringing. And if you have a loving mind, you will look at somebody who is misbehaving in some way, shape, or form and say, yes, I can see that that is not beneficial behavior. But honestly, I cannot judge them because I do not know what I would be like had I gone through what they have gone through. And so I send them love rather than judgment. That is what a loving mind will do. A judgmental mind will say they have stolen something and they should go to jail and they should be punished as hard as possible. So they are terrified out of doing that particular act again. Or they could be given the death sentence because what they have done is so abhorrent that they should not be given the right to live. But what we will tell you, for example, in that latter example, is that if you kill someone because they have killed somebody, you will not be changing anything. The being that killed has not been rehabilitated by being killed. They just will be reborn into another situation where they will play out the same game again because they have not learnt, they have not been given the opportunity to rehabilitate their mind.
You know, of course, what we do, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back after this quick break. So stay with us.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page. As we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force, our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
In which we're doing this documentary for Douglas Robinson, Your Death Will Not Be in Vain.
He was a heck of a great dude. And I love Doug. Doug loved me.
Just being around him, he had a good spirit. He was a healing person.
They are there.
Get SROs back.
When you give to the poor,
Should not be forced out of their neighborhoods when it goes through a period of transformation. Because there are too many people who are losing their homes to taxes because they can't pay a $1,000 tax bill.
And you are watching Voices of Enlightenment. I'm Naima Latif, and we're committed on this day in bringing you the many voices from around the world who are sharing information that can change your life, because it is correcting much of the misinformation that keeps you in a state of fear. So today, we want to bring you some thought-changing presentations that allow you to reflect where you are in your evolution toward enlightenment. As we have heard through trance channel Tina Louise Spalding, these are transformative times, and what's going to come to the surface in your life are those things that you need to address. And in order for you to see yourself, you've got to experience yourself. You've got to experience your response to things. And also, what you may realize and recognize is that the things that you used to enjoy, even the people that you used to be involved with, you no longer enjoy their company. And even sometimes at family gatherings, we certainly had the experience, and I love my family, but in certain large family gatherings, you have those who indulge in alcohol and those who don't. And the people who are drinking, they're having a great time, and that's wonderful. But the people who are sober, they may not enjoy that atmosphere because the personalities of those who are inebriated become distorted. And often things can erupt, arguments, they can turn violent because of the change in the brain chemistry, which creates a change in behavior. So when my husband and I and my daughter, we would go to family events, we would enjoy the company and the music and, the laughter and the conversation. And as people began to drink, we would make our exit because we didn't want to experience the lower vibration of those who are intoxicated. It's not a judgment, it's a realization that's a lower vibration. Intoxication is, and it produces lower vibration behavior. So these are choices that you make, and they're choices that you make based on where you are, because you will not feel comfortable. As was said, you're no longer a vibrational match. So we want you to listen to that entire presentation, and it's on our Facebook page. We've shared the link, and you can go to channelingjesus.com. The one we know as Jesus is coming through people who are channels. A channel, of course, is like your TV channel. It's a means whereby people can be a receiver of information and therefore transmit it. That's all. But for those who are not aware, they may see such transmission of information, especially if it refutes that which they have been indoctrinated to believe over a long period of time. They may respond with fear. And yet the only way we're going to get through this season, which is the end of a spiritual season, as it has been explained, the only way we're going to get through it is to be acquainted with truth. And then we can either choose to believe and understand, or we can choose to stay where we are and keep experiencing what we're experiencing. So we want you to hear that whole message. We want you to go to channelingjesus.com and have access to all of the links to the YouTube presentations and all of the information that can assist us as we go through this process of change. The world is changing, and we're either going to stay where we are, manipulated by fear from those who seek to stay in control, or we're going to free our minds and free ourselves and free our planet. And this is the destiny. And those who are choosing that, that's what they're going to experience. So we want you to be prepared with information. And this is why we share this every Wednesday morning, so that you will know that what's happening is part of the great plan of your spiritual evolution in this earth school, this very intense earth school. And as was clearly explained, this is to show you who you are. Now, if it's explained by the one we know as Jesus, that killing someone for committing a crime does not help them evolve, and the purpose of evolution is for your spiritual growth. The purpose of your experience is for your learning. If that is the case, then certainly hell is an invention of the church, which we've been told that by hypnotherapist Dolores Cannon. But to punish someone with suffering after they have in fact suffered because they needed to learn something, that makes no sense. And that's not an act of love. But we're believing that cruelty is the way the creator of the universe operates, and needed to be cruel to someone in order to forgive us. And that is not correct. That is not the mission of the one we know as Jesus, to accept punishment, because there is no punishment. There's only learning. And I'm glad that the explanation about stillborns and miscarriages was shared with us, because many women have deep feelings of guilt and failure, and they did something wrong because their baby wasn't born. And we're understanding that it was the child who just felt like they couldn't hack it. I'm not ready for this. I can't handle it. And we've shared that experience on one of our channels, on one of our episodes before, where this was recalled as a pre-birth experience. And we know that every soul that comes here, there are no accidental births. Everyone makes a choice for this very intense birth experience. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to share with you another very intense earth experience by a Native woman, an Indigenous woman who went through hell on earth. But after she died, during her death experience, her near-death experience, because she did come back, she had a deep understanding and also got to meet someone on the other side that helped her prepare for the rest of her life. So we'll be right back after this next break, and we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. And let us first take a comment from Charles Anderson. He says, "Hi, family in Christ. Unfortunately, we are trapped in the last days. Please do not talk to spirits pretending to be Jesus. Get ready for the river life. Do not take the mark of money." Okay. I love you, Charles Anderson, and I appreciate your sharing your response. And this is a show for you and for many who live in fear and not understanding because of the indoctrination of organizations that keep you in a state of fear. And I always tell people, if you have doubts, just ask the Creator yourself. The Creator of the universe is not hiding from us. So your own prayers are just as valid. And all of us have the ability to hear the voice of those who came here to teach. When people channel, they're not pretending. They're allowing someone who is no longer embodied, or may never have been embodied, may never have had an earth experience on this planet, but they're allowing them to use their body-mind complex to speak. This is simply a microphone, this body. That's all. And when we understand that, we don't have fear. That's what happens when you watch movies like The Exorcist. See that? Erase that, because that's not what's happening. Hear the voice of the one you say you follow, so that you can truly be an asset to him and his teachings. I love you, Charles. We'll be right back after this next break. So stick and stay, don't stray away. We'll be right back. So stay with us. When you see Black children misbehaving in public, being loud, disrespectful, and destructive, do you think to yourself, what they need is a good beating? That's what's wrong with these parents. They don't know how to discipline their children. Were you disciplined in that way? And did your parents also call you stupid, ignorant, and lazy? That's the way you break a slave. You terrorize them with constant fear of painful punishment. You teach them they're powerless to speak up, and you insult them so they feel like nothing. We were broken by parents who were broken, by parents who were broken. It's time to end the cycle of brokenness and bring healing to ourselves and our communities by using knowledge, respect, and love. We'll show you how. I'm Naima Latif. Get the book Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma. On sale now. Go to www.naimalatif.com.
Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
We are back, and let us share a Native woman's near-death experience where she was sent back with a purpose.
I'm Sharon Ward, and I am from the Broken Head Ojibwe Nation in Manitoba, Canada. And I have grown up in and around Manitoba most of my life. I also have grown up a lot of my years before school was on the trap line with my grandfather. So I've got a lot of traditional knowledge that was handed down from the elders, and they used to tell me that I had to be quiet. So they used to call me bungins. It was like something to do about quiet waters or quiet, because a long time ago you used to go to jail if you had any native knowledge, because they were trying to eliminate the Indian to assimilate them. And they didn't want that knowledge being handed down so that they would forget that part of their lives, so that they would no longer be heathens and savages. Residential schools were boarding schools. Basically, they boarded Indian children. They took the kids right out of the homes. And that's where a lot of abuse happened to the kids. My mom was 3.5 and she was in a day school. They would go to the school and then they'd come back afterwards. Well, one day they didn't come back and my grandfather walked in. My grandmother was crying. And she said, I can't find the children. So my dad, well, I call him my dad because I lived with him most of the time and on the trap line. But he was the one who went out. He started looking for my mom and them, and he found out where they were, and he found that they were being kept in the residential schools and were going to be separated. It really took a toll on my grandpa, and it also took a toll on my grandmother. My mom went to what was known as Fort Alexander, and her brothers and sisters went elsewhere in Manitoba, but they were all separated. So my mom spent the 9.5 years in that residential school. She saw a lot of things in there, as well as experienced the abuse. Like, she saw children being murdered. She saw them being buried in the middle of the night. She wasn't just abused by the priest. She was also abused by the nuns. And in every way that you can imagine, that's the kind of abuse that she had gone through. It was just horrifying, the things that she had gone through. But it helped me when I got older to understand where she came from and what she experienced. But she was a very angry woman. Mind you, she was really kind and caring before 1966. She had a beautiful spirit about her. When 1966 came in and they started to allow Indians to drink, especially women, that's when our life went to hell. From that point on, she started drinking more and more and more. Her drinking went from a weekend to a week, and then soon almost every day was Friday and Saturday. It was just scary. So we went through a lot of different things ourselves. Like, we've gone without proper clothing. I remember stealing clothes off of people's wash lines, and we went without food quite often. So in the fall, like, that was kind of like a blessing, because we got to raid a lot of gardens. We had a lot of vegetables, and then all we had to do was worry about meat. And before, when we were growing up, my grandfather, when he was on the trap line, he provided all the meat to the family. And my uncles, they were the ones who fished. My dad was the one who hunted. So they all worked in unison, and we're all, self-sufficient. But the thing is that everything changed. Everybody started drinking, and life started to become harder, and there was a lot of abuses by people that were left to care for us too. Like, that wasn't they weren't looking for healthy people. They were just looking for somebody to watch the kids. And without realizing it, they put us in harm's way. So we went through a lot of other abuses. I didn't speak English until I was 7, but I spoke Anishinaabe, which means the Ojibwe language. And the thing is that when I was a kid, I didn't understand that I had an accent. I thought that I had the same as everybody else, and I used to get beat up in school because I was different. My mother was darker skin. My dad is what they know as Mi'kmaq, I guess other people call them. And some of them have interbred with Vikings from a long time ago, and some with Irish and Scottish. And there's a lineage of fairness through them. So being fair and not speaking proper English was hard going through school. And when I became a teenager, I started using marijuana. That was my coping thing. I used it to help me cope with the things that were going on around me. I became a mom when I was a teenager. I can't remember if I was 15 or 16. And thus, Child and Family Services, well, they weren't called Child and Family back then, they were called Children's Aid. They picked me up for being a runaway because my mom said that I was a runaway. And what she did is she beat me up and threw me out in the middle of a snowstorm. And at the time, my boyfriend, he found me in the snow. He dug me out of the snow. If it wasn't for him finding me, I probably wouldn't be alive. So he took me to my auntie's. And then my mom phoned the police, and police finally came and picked me up from my auntie's, and they took me to what they call the youth center. And when they take you in there, the doctor gives you a complete exam. And what he found is that I was bruised from the top of my head to my feet. The only place I wasn't bruised was on my face. And they were trying to get my mom to come into court to in order to have her say as to why I was bruised so much. And my mom never showed up, so she basically abandoned me and left me in there. So I became a ward of the government. And because I like smoking marijuana, they threw me out after being in a foster home for maybe 6 months. So I ended up on the streets of Winnipeg, and I had no place to go. But I did know how to work, because that's what I did in the house. Cooked and cleaned and took care of the kids. And I also had side jobs where I would go and deliver newspapers, flyers. I cleaned other people's homes and babysat. And that's what I did. My mom got cancer, and she still drank. And the doctor said that if my mom wouldn't have drank during the chemotherapy and that she would have had a chance to live. But the alcohol fought with the medication that they were giving her. She just didn't want to. She just didn't want to live anymore. When my mother was getting closer to death, she used to ask me for her rings, and I had her rings. I found them, but my husband was an alcoholic, and he was the one who stole the rings, and he traded them for a car. And my mom would ask me for those rings, and I felt guilty. And I was taking care of 6 kids, 2 stepdaughters, my youngest brother, and 3 of my own. And I was also going to school. I was working a full-time job, and at nights I'd go in to stay with my mom. And then the doctor said that my mom was never not going to live. And she had a beautiful death. The doctor said that she smiled and she looked up and said, "I love you." And then she passed. But it was afterwards, that's when I started, I got, the guilt was so bad. because I didn't give her, what she wanted was her wedding bands. I didn't give them to her because I didn't have them. And I only drank maybe once or twice a year, and very seldom did I ever get drunk. But when my mom died, that was already gone. It was just a total flip. And I started drinking lots, and I started using more drugs, and I started to become a very violent individual, just like my mom. I was slowly becoming like my mom. A lot of people were afraid of me. When I was going through my addictions, to me, the only thing that was important was where my next drink or my next high was going to be coming from. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about anybody or anything. I didn't even care about myself, let alone anybody else. It was just trying to mask that pain, that hurt, that anger, that guilt, that shame, trying to mask it all. And I paid my husband to leave me. And I told him, I says, if you think you're coming back to me, I says, and I'm going to take you back, you got another thing coming, because I don't want you. It's done. I ended up having a lump on the side of my breast, and I had black fluid coming out, and I was taking lots and lots of pills, like painkillers. But I didn't really like taking pills, so I'd take those pills and I just put them aside, and I just smoked more pot. And I was able to get through that, but then I started going through a really heavy despair. I looked at my babies and I thought, they'd probably have a better life without me, because I was so broken. I had so much shame because I thought that I had to be shameful for the way that I grew up. So I went out and I bought a Mickey of whiskey, and I took all those bottles, and there was 90 pills in each one. There was 3 of them, big bottles. And I ate most of them. When I went and laid down on the couch after I took all of that, and I drank that whiskey and I went to sleep, I should have never woke up. And I thought I was making sure of that. As I was dying, at first I heard the voices of my brothers and sisters. It was like I was being shown what was going to happen, what they were going to experience. I can hear my brothers and sisters talking about me in the distance, and I can hear them saying, how selfish she was. She never even thought of any of us before she did that to herself. And then I can feel their pain, and it was just horrible. It was really going to hurt them, and they wouldn't have forgiven me for a long time, if at all. I might have even had to stay there until their time was up. Because the one thing that I didn't realize is that I realized how I felt, but I didn't realize how they were going to feel. Being on the other side of somebody losing somebody, especially since I was like the mom to my brothers and sisters. I was the one who raised them up, took care of them. I never realized that I was so important in my family, because I always thought myself as being insignificant. I didn't hear anybody else until I finally heard that one voice that said, turn around. So I turned around, and he said, you see that light in the distance? And it was just a tiny little speck. I said, yeah. Okay, now go to that light. So I'm walking towards that light. And the light is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it wasn't very big. It was only big enough for me to crawl through. So I went through that kind of like a little hole. And I crawled into the other side, and almost instantaneously, like I felt that love. And it was a beautiful, beautiful love. Like I have never experienced that here on this earth. But I remember it. And I remember crying like a baby. And then I can hear a voice talking. I heard the voice before I seen the man. And the voice, in that voice, I heard them saying that I had to see what could have happened, because everybody who dies, everybody's given a certain amount of time when they're born into the world to live. During that time, they live and they learn, they make mistakes, and they keep going or they don't. And for those who to do that to themselves, like when they do that to themselves, commit suicide, they'll stay there in that place until they're either forgiven from all the people that they left behind, or until their time is up. And then they can go back and visit for just a short period before coming back here. Anyway, when that man came and he started talking, he said, Pungans, Sharon. And I looked at him and he said, Creator sent me to talk to you. God, the creator of all things, sent me to talk to you. And he wants you to know this. Before you were born, you were given a job to do. And you can't come back here until you do it, because nobody else can do it, just you. And he said, you're going to have to go back. And I said, no, I don't want to go back. And I remember looking at his face, and his face was changing, all the different colors of mankind. They didn't stay one color. It kept changing and changing and changing. And then I remember trying to look into his eyes, and I didn't see eyeballs. Like you see the eyeballs, but I didn't see no pupils, no coloration. But I didn't feel fear. I wasn't afraid of him. But when he said I had to go back, I just wept. I grabbed hold of his feet and his legs, and I started to cry, and I started to beg him, no, please let me stay. I want to stay. And he says, no, you can't. We have to send you back. And it was just like that. Poof.
Yes. And of course, she is back telling her story. And her job to do is to share her story, and especially give a testimony for those who may be going through some horrific things in life and are wondering, are they being punished by the Creator? Are they unworthy of love? Well, her story is providing a healing for those who may have had that misconception because their life is difficult. And she went through some horrific things. But you notice how she said, before you were born. All of us plan our lives before we're born. There are no accidental births. Everyone who comes here, specifically for this experience on earth, comes with a purpose and an objective, and something that we intend to learn and intend to share with the rest of the world. The challenge with the earth experience is that we remember none of it. We remember Most people remember nothing of their intentions when they came here. Well, we've got a few comments as people reflect on what she says. And Zelda, our Monday morning mindfulness host, says, wow, hearing her story reminds us the whole system is designed to keep us in the lowest vibration possible. She's proof we can do better if we're determined to. Yes, and that's part of her job. The reason why she had to come back. She had to share that story because some of us have been through some horrific lives. And we're here to master this particular realm where people do terrible things, but we must learn love and forgiveness as the one we know as Jesus explained. So if you are able to, even through all of the hurtful things you go through, learn compassion, learn patience, learn forgiveness, then you have mastered this environment. That's why we're here, for mastery. It was explained. This is like a master class. And lives such as this, they're not punishments. They're like that hard class you took, that calculus class, that algebra trig class, that you struggled and struggled. This is a difficult class. And Viata with Tiny House Village, you got to tune in on that. She says, let us, United Souls, let us work to reduce and prevent these testimonies of suffering and lack. Shalom. Yes, that's our goal, to bring peace to the world, to change the world that we're living in that creates such suffering. Those of us who are aware, that's the job we came to do. Those who are spreading a message through their own YouTube channels and Facebook pages and social media, bringing those voices of enlightenment so that we can change the way we're treating each other. That's why we're here. And those who die and come back, they come back, they're sent back. Their job is to come back and share what they know so that we can undo all of those fear-based religious teachings that have us believing that there's a punitive God that's going to cast us into a lake of fire because we've made mistakes. And what we see from this woman's testimony, the reason why we make mistakes and end up on drugs, doing alcohol, is because of the pain we're in. We're seeking to alleviate the pain, which is why it was explained to us how we respond to people who've done terrible things and made mistakes, because we don't know what they've been through. We don't know what drove them to this. That's why we respond with compassion. That's why punishment is not what happens after this life. It's a realization. So this is why we're here. And this is why we must teach. Those of us who understand must teach. And Zelda says, wow, what a walking, talking testimony. We thought we had issues until we hear the stories of others. And that's why it's so important to share your own testimony, because sometimes people complain about their little problems and then they realize their little problems are just little problems. And people that have been abused, beaten, abandoned, and yet they still, as Maya Angelou says, and still I rise. So our job is to master this very low vibration environment and bring the higher vibration. And the one we know as Jesus came to show how to do that through forgiveness of those who make errors, through compassionate treatment of people, through love. That was his mission. He was not dying. I'm sorry. I love my brothers and sisters in Christ. I love you all. But you must evolve out of the misteachings that make you believe you were born in sin and someone had to take your punishment. That's not what this was about, and that's not what was taught to us by the one we know as Jesus. The creator of the universe does not punish you for having this experience. It's a learning experience for you to master love. That's what this is. And the one we know as Jesus was teaching how through example, and even teaching how to master such an experience as the cruel torture of those who seek to silence you. And it's known and quoted how he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And is that not what is the reality? You don't know what you're doing when you're hurting someone. And so to be able to forgive even the meanest of people, the political leaders who wanted to silence him because he was helping to free the minds of people, to forgive them even after that, that's when you've passed this master class of earth. And that's why we're here. And so for those who understand, and those who have created programs, YouTube channels, Facebook pages, podcasts, those people who are bringing knowledge, these are the voices of enlightenment. And we'll be sharing their information. We'll be sharing those who have chosen to be the light in the dark that dispels misunderstandings so that we can choose to live in a state of love. That's why we're here. So I thank you all for joining us today. And I thank all of you who've lent your comments. And I want you to reflect and go to my Facebook page, Naima Latif, on Facebook, NAIMAHLATIF. We've shared these links. We want you to see the whole shows. And we want you to subscribe to those channels. And we want you to reflect so that you can add to the high vibration of this planet Earth, and you too can become a voice of enlightenment. We thank you for joining us. Come on back tonight for the on-air daily news hour. And we're going to be talking to someone who addresses the issue of mental illness. Rachel Mitchell, a nurse practitioner, helping to address that which happens to us when our minds are broken from this experience. Those who are in the healing business, they often see the pain that we cause each other and the results. And so she's sharing with us how the medical industry can lend a bit of compassion and a bit of treatment and ultimately healing for those in pain, mental pain. Join us tonight. And until next time, we want you to continue to shine your light. See you next time. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jared. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.